Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Strange Stories. I'm Roger Hanson, your host, here with my co host, Mark Edworthy, as well as our panel, V, Auto X, and my brother, Robert Hanson. Welcome, everybody, to the show. And before we get started, I want to ask if Robert could mute out real quick because I can hear some background. There's hit mute on there. So now, before we get started, I wanted to mention why I wanted to do this topic. It was because last week we had started talking about extremophiles, and the last time we had a conversation about extremophiles, we had it with Bob Dub. And when we started going down the path of extremophiles, all of a sudden she started talking about deep sea octopuses and stuff like that have been discovered. And we started talking about the Kraken. And then last week we started talking about it again, and Robert started talking about the Kraken again. So I'm figuring this is the best route that I need to take when it comes to the subjects that I do for Strange Stories. Because this is basically the format that I've done with this series since I started it 3 years ago. I've discussed everything from churches that were made out of freaking where the altars were made out of human bones and everything. If you ever go back and listen to what me and Karma Love used to do together, you catch that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the theme that goes on here. Now the Kraken, the history of the Kraken is actually kind of interesting because Robert has brought this up to me, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I figured it'd be a good time to do it. But where a lot of this really starts, the primary Scandinavian writer who wrote it. Who documented the Kraken was a guy who did it back in the 1700s, and he was a Danish bishop and author. His name was Eric Pontoppidan, or I guess they said it. He lived between 1698 to 1764, and he described the creature in his work. It's a book called Natural History of Norway. That was written in 1752 and 1753. If you guys are interested in checking it out at some time. Now,
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm just before you continue. I thought it was actually go back a lot further. It was sort of
it's
pre-qual.
interesting. It's interesting because it does go back farther, but it was actually documented by this guy in his book Natural History of Norway. And the interesting part about that book is, see, that book was actually used scientifically for years and years until people got more into the modern version of history. So a lot of people believed in the Kraken and stuff because of this book. You know,
So
so
that book was the first documented discussion, but it was talking about stuff that had been going on for a while.
right,
So the book itself probably was reaching back to earlier
hmm,
legends and stories and stuff.
right. In that one, he detailed a massive island-like sea creature, and it was likely like a colossal octopus. And according to what he said, it was capable of pulling down ships. Okay. Now, he wasn't the only one. There was also a few other people who actually wrote on this topic. It was Jacob Wallenberg. He was a Swedish author. He described the creature in his book. They called it the Mensan Par Galajan. It's my son on the galley, and that was in 1781. The weird part about Wallenberg is he comes from a very influential person or family up there now. Like you'll hear a lot of people talk about the 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 I always talk about them all, the Warburgs, You'll hear people always talk about the Rothschilds and all these powerful, rich, influential families. Um, the thing about Eric or Jacob Wallenberg is he comes from this family called the Wallenberg family, and you'll never find him like in the top 10 freaking most rich people in the world because they engineered it that way. What they did is they set it up to where their family's fortune was distributed out to where it wasn't they didn't get hit with inheritance taxes and stuff, and not one member of the family or a group of the family could actually get into the actual funds and be able to take control of it. You know what I mean? So that's why you'll never find it. But they are one of the families that I was talking about previously that would like take their family castles and stuff and they would donate it to the Heritage Fund or something like that. You know what I mean? And they would live in these places rent free, never paying a dime or nothing, just bounce from one place to another, living off of a inheritance. You know what I mean? So that's the interesting part of this guy, and it all started out with Jacob Wallenberg. He was a Swedish author, but he was also a freaking captain of a ship, and he wrote this book, and he was also a part of the what do they call it, the West Indies trading company back in the day. I believe is what it's called.
Dutch West India Company.
Yeah, it was the one that the company that did trade with Asia and stuff.
The British East
Yeah.
the British East India Company.
Mm-hmm. He actually that's where he supposedly encountered had his encounter with a giant kraken, basically, in his stories, and it's pretty interesting. He was talking about a kraken that was had the ability to create whirlpools and shit. You know what I mean? That would drag ships down under. So he's pretty interesting, and I've actually got the PDF for that too that I can share when it comes to the story on all that. I'll put that in the chat. I'll also do it on Minds too as well, so that you guys can, or not Minds, but on Elements too. Or I can put it on Minds as well, I guess. Maybe put the link in there or something. I don't think I can upload a PDF on Minds, can I, Mark?
No. Okay. You can have to use an external source.
Now, besides him, there was another guy by the name of Hans Agidi, and he was a Dano-Norwegian missionary who reported a similar creature in 1734. So these guys go all the way back to the 17th century, and they ended up getting involved in writing on the subject. So before I get started on this, I figured I'd open it up to you guys and see what you think about the whole thing about the Kraken and what you've heard about it, and see it go from there.
Maybe it's not one giant squid. Maybe it's like a king rat situation where you got a bunch of squids locked together somehow.
Could be one squid that operates all over the globe by changing its position interdimensionally. Melville kind of implies that in Moby Dick. The white whale, he's sighted in the Pacific, then the next day he's in the Atlantic. How's he doing?
Multiple whales.
Well, the only thing, around, didn't he?
There was only one Moby Dick, though.
Yeah, but
maybe there were two.
During that time when England was having them ships of gold going from here to back, well, they were saying there were ships comes up missing anyway.
Okay.
and
You talk about
full
16.
of gold, silver, all. Well, you hear, I've heard through the shipwrecks, and mysterious things would happen to them.
Oh, yeah.
In the Bermuda Triangle, ships in complete intact, but everybody was gone. I ain't saying it could, but it,
Oh, the tentacles would just come up and pick them off the deck. Nom, 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 nom. You know, they found some really big things and signs of even bigger things. You know, I've heard stories of whales being taken with sucker marks on them that imply like 100-foot long squid. Or they found squid beaks. I forget what kind of whale eats squids. And somebody was figuring out if there's like so many thousand of these whales and they eat so many tons of squid a day to live, that the number of giant squid under the water must be enormous for for them to like survive on. And they butcher them. They find like a dozen squid beaks in their stomachs. They're eating these things all the time. So there's a lot of life down there we never see. Who knows how big it gets?
If there were a whale, I'd have dessert.
We know more about our galaxy than we do know about in our own
That's
seas.
what they say.
like they found out that about the news jellyfish, where when half of it gets hurt, it goes back to the younger age of when it was. It comes back to life.
It regenerates. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, regenerates to the younger. Like if it was.
Well, I've heard that.
Okay, so there's.
He also talks about sea serpents, and he's also mentioned in that book about mermaids as well.
Oh boy, really?
Yeah. So
they got V's interest.
Well, I don't know. All I
was
say
down
was
at the
that,
beach one day.
if you're going to talk about whales and their food habits, it's only proper for a whale to have octopi for dessert.
Well, see,
Come on, I got to practice my material, guys.
There's an argument. There's an argument going around that you can't be saying that because it's actually Greek. Okay, so it would be octopo, not octopi.
That is true. That is true.
I heard that.
Still a good joke. Yeah. I'm confident about that.
It's not like,
he says that when they light it puss on his face.
Well,
I used to have a big habit of using viri as the plural of virus rather than viruses until somebody used to do that all the time. But yeah, same thing.
You know, the other thing too is to correct V at that point, I would have had to say no, it's octopuses, and then we would have had. Well, we don't want to go. Yes, through the whale.
I would have taken it so much further. See.
So I thought octopi was the lesser of two evils.
Well, like the volcanoes that all the sea life is going to want meeting up down there, and they're showing them evolving. They get bigger. I guess the pressure. They have showed some new sea life down there. There's one that the spine of it is nothing like it's ever seen on Earth. The spine is completely different.
Wow.
Well, see, the thing about Pontoppidan, or however you say his name is, he was also an antiquarian, and that's something that they weren't really as precise as what archaeologists are today, but that's the one thing I can say about him. At least he did have a respect for history and antiquities and stuff, you know. So, I mean, in that aspect, I think that's how he benefited society in a way. Now, his book, that was kind of out there. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Because he, like I said, he was big on the whole thing about sea serpents and mermaids in the Kraken and everything. And even with the Kraken, that kind of brings us to something that's very interesting when it comes to these stories, because like they're discovering now in deeper areas of the oceans that there are octopus that are extremely large. Maybe not as big as what they described the kraken to be, but they are huge.
Their DNA is completely different than what it is now from the ones up top.
Different species. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And
Our
that,
DNA is 250. Theirs is 500.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I
Now,
know they have big eyes, very complicated brains, the cephalopods.
now, when it comes to a giddy, he came out. He came out of Greenland, I believe it was, and he was an apostle of Greenland, basically. And he was another writer. He was another religious person who wrote about the Kraken and stuff. And he was basically a civil servant. You know what I mean? And I know that he wasn't as popular as what the other dude was, but he actually did travel a lot. I think he went to New Zealand at one point. I'm not quite sure. And that's where. No, he traveled to Copenhagen, I believe. And he went into the University of Copenhagen.
Home of the chewing tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he wrote extensively on stuff like that too. I'm surprised that he didn't actually get his head cut off because of the time period. You know what I mean? So that was some stuff right there that really caught my attention to it. Now, when it does come to like the facts behind a lot of it, if you check the internet out, you'll find out like they come up with different stuff that they've discovered when it comes to the octopus. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of the giant Pacific octopus or not, but have you guys ever heard of it?
I think I have, but not too many details.
Now, it's supposed to be the largest octopus that was ever found in history, and I believe I have an article on it. I just have to be able to pull it up. It seems like my computer doesn't want to let me in. It says just a moment, performing security verification. That's crazy. But yeah, it's off of Ocean SI Education, and this one is actually an interesting story. And there was another story that came out of England, actually, over in your neck of the woods, Mark. It was about the seven-armed octopus. I don't know.
Seven-armed?
Seven-armed octopus.
So he's a septopus.
Well,
I think Latin sept.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
But it's Greek. That's right. You know what Greek? Well, octo is. Mm-hmm. I have small Latin and less Greek, unfortunately.
Oh, so there's 8 pluses, huh? 8.
No, what I had to do
you
is
can't have too many.
What I had to do is just go ahead and go to Wikipedia for this, but it's called the Great Pacific Octopus, and it's also known as the North Pacific Giant Octopus. It's a large marine cephalopod that belongs to the genus Interoctopus and Interoctopodidae family. Now, its spatial distribution encompasses much of the coastal North Pacific from the Mexican state of Baja California north along the United States west coast. That would be California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska, and British Columbia, Canada, and then across the North Pacific to Russia, far east, and south to East China Sea, the Yellow Sea, the Sea of Japan, Japan's Pacific East Coast, and around Korean Peninsula. Now, it can be found from the intertidal zone down to 2,000 meters or 6,600 feet, and is best adapted to colder oxygen and nutrient-rich waters. It is the largest octopus species on Earth and can often be found in aquariums and research facilities in addition to the ocean. So this octopus can travel long distances. That basically means that it can completely go all around the freaking edges of the Pacific Ocean.
You heard about that blue shark, haven't you? The one we were talking about earlier? Where it's the size of an oil tanker. When it's bigger than an oil tanker, it can swallow the whole oil tanker by one swallow.
Now, where was this at?
This is in a museum of the shark. It was during the Ice Age. It was the biggest predator in the ocean, bigger than the blue whale. It would eat the blue whale. It was a very ferocious beast in the ocean. They said that the mouth was bigger than an oil tanker. It could swallow an oil tanker and a whale with no problem.
You talking about a blue shark?
Yeah. Well, they were. The name was even severe. I mean, they were.
I can probably find something out about it. What appeared to be tentacles washed up on an Aberdeenshire beach are the remains of a deep-sea creature called a seven-armed octopus, says experts. A local member of the public spotted the arms with rows of suckers at Borby Nature Reserve at Colliston near Ellen on Sunday and alerted reserve staff. Now, detective work led to the animal being identified as one of the world's largest species of octopus, although experts remain puzzled about how it washed up on the beach. Also known as a septopus, giant Galantinos octopus, or blob octopus. They have 8 arms like other octopuses, but in males, one of the arms is also a reproductive organ.
You see what V missed by not behaving himself?
Yeah.
He would have loved this. He misses out.
Are octopus common in the North Atlantic?
Not that I'm aware of, from what I've been.
That's. I don't know.
Have you seen that other one where it gets flat? It flats itself out, change color, and like a chameleon on the ocean, and it shoots out like silver water and injects itself out. And right into a little hole.
Now, marine biologist Dr. Lawrence Smith of East Gampian Coastal Partnership said seven-armed octopus were a remarkable and rarely documented species. They live hundreds of meters below the surface of the sea, and females, which are larger than males, can grow to 134 foot or 4 meters long.
Wow.
Now,
That's pretty big.
4V NNR covers about 2,471 acres and of sand dunes and heath between the North Sea and the estuary of the river Yithan, however they say.
Who
And,
knows how the dark barbarous Scots speak their language?
yeah.
Dour Scots.
Now, the area is known for seals and also has the largest tern and black-headed gull colony in mainland Scotland. Reserve staff described the arms as a rare find. Nature Scott's 4V NNR Reserve Manager Katarina Reed said, "We were first made aware that there was something odd on the beach over the weekend when a local walker spotted part of the octopus on the beach. However, we couldn't get out until after the next high tide when only sections of the tentacles could be found. These were something we clearly hadn't seen before, with a large diameter and big suckers, far too big for the common curled octopus we see around the shore here." So this is up there, and that is kind of weird. I don't know for sure. I've never heard of them being up around Scotland.
I usually think of them for like the Mediterranean or more, tropical.
What depth does the ocean is in there in England?
It can be pretty deep. Parts around it.
Yeah, that's probably where it's at, where it came from.
Well, I know when Magellan was sailing around the world, he said that when he went around the strait, that right around that area, that was a real harsh water, and it was real cold, and that they had encounters with well, they didn't have encounters with them, but they've seen them. You know what I mean? They've seen the squids and stuff. And there's been ship captains that reported having attacks back then in the harsher waters. But that was back when ships were boat or wood, So
wow. To interrupt, I was reading, although some octopuses apparently live in shallow tidal pools and like shallow places like the Mediterranean, some live as deep as sightings as deep as 22,825 feet down in the ocean. There are octopuses.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere in between there, they live in all different. They're saying some at 49,000 feet, some at 13,000 feet, and this deepest confirmed sighting, was at 22,000 feet. They probably go deeper, so they can be anywhere.
Yeah, but they did show farther you go down, their change because of pressure, and the body has changed for the pressure of the water.
Right.
But this one is these are deep water species, and they're usually found, they're usually found below 1,640 feet or 500 meters.
So, so they wouldn't be like sunbathing on the beach normally in Scotland. No. You wouldn't see them in like the rock pools waving at the swimmers and stuff. You wouldn't ever see them that deep. Maybe something like maybe there was an underwater gas explosion or something that pushed it to the surface, or maybe it was getting chased by a whale, or I don't know. I have heard stories about gas explosions coming up. Well, that's the North Sea, which is near Scotland. Mm-hmm. They have so much natural gas there that sometimes it'll just burst from the ocean floor and it'll make a big bubble of gas going up. And apparently the water, if you're like a ship caught in that, it's like suddenly being in an elevator with a cable cut, because the water is now full of gas. So it's not water, and it's just you're sitting on a bunch of bubbles. And they say the ship can go right down to the bottom before you can do anything.
They were talking about that in the Bermuda Triangle, about the ships coming up missing. The people, they're thinking that the gas came up and killed them.
Well, yeah, it's a possibility. Well, I know they found one ship in the North Sea right in the middle of one of these gas bubbles, and it was like this really well built, brand new 1900. This happened like early 1900s. You know, my 1902 fishing ship, all loaded with supplies and stuff, had sailed off and disappeared. They found it. It was sitting right flat on the bottom, right upright in the middle of this what looks like a big gas crater. So they think that's what happened to it. It just got boom, and they said it would have been suddenly you're plunging down through bubbles in methane, right? So you can't breathe. I'm sure they were unconscious within the first couple of breaths. There's like no air, and boom, hit the bottom before they knew it. Probably didn't know what hit them.
The experts that were out there said that most of the North Sea, except for the Norwegian Trench, which is about 2,296 feet or 700 meters deep, was shallower than that though, which it makes it more of a mystery because the North Sea is actually too shallow for this kind of, well, not really too shallow, but they gives them very little room to move, you know.
Some prankster did it.
Because
somebody stole it from an aquarium.
Because they're usually found between 600 or 1,640 feet, which is 500 meters. That's usually below that, and then like
it would have had to come up from there and then travel sideways.
The Northern Sea is only 700 meters deep.
So it would have come from beyond the North Sea, so it traveled quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What could have taken it? Maybe it was like that penguin. Remember that penguin meme that just turned around and headed for the mountains? You see all the other octopuses saying, "Where are you going, Fred?" "I just gotta go." We don't live up there. The pressure, you'll die. "I'm going." "There's nothing there. It's Scotland, for God's sake." "I'm going." It's like I'm going to Scotland. Who knows?
I do have to say that it is an extraordinary find, though, because for them to find a deep water species like that in that area, it's actually pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's very weird. Why would he go there, though? I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't think he'd be carried. Maybe he was
could have been dead beforehand and cons carried him.
Yeah, things get at in the ocean really quick, though, dude. It's like food. It had to have died pretty recent.
Yeah,
I mean, not if it's dead beforehand.
Yeah, but dude, the travel. You know what I mean? We're talking.
Yeah, but I mean, if it died deep underwater, it would have to. I mean, it got to Scotland somehow. If it got to Scotland while it was dead, it would have got et by the time it got to Scotland. If it got to Scotland under its own power, what would impel it to do that? I mean, if it was dead, it could have been carried by the tides. If it had been eaten and regurgitated, there probably would have been signs of it. Because that was my first thought. Maybe a whale threw it up because they do eat these things.
That could be
maybe pranksters, like somebody really rich guy with a fishing boat, netted one, brought it up, and said, "I'm going to drop this off on the coast of Scotland." That'll get them thinking. I mean, it's the sort of thing I might do if I was a billionaire and got really, really loaded one day and said, "Hey, let's prank some marine biologists in Scotland." You know, it's like the last thing in the world you think about.
But yeah, I mean, even if you're in the North Sea, though, you know what I mean? Like, how you gonna get your hands on a freaking octopus?
Well, you'd have to go out to somewhere deep enough to get it. You'd need a yacht with like a tank in it, and then you'd like have to bring it up, put it in the tank, sail it, wait till no one's looking.
And but the temperature of the water gotta be too.
Right, so you'd have to adjust it. Yeah, it would be it would cost millions. So probably it was just like a rogue octopus. Maybe it had like a brain virus. I know there are animals, they get these brain parasites or something, where the insect lands in the nose and it goes and they just walk in circles or behave in weird ways. Maybe it's something like that. Just why do whales beach? I mean, whales beach sometimes.
An octopus with an octopus version of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, exactly.
And weather-wise too, I've heard of incidents where like these octopus have been seen in colder, more hostile freaking waters than in just like peaceful areas of the Pacific.
What time of the year was it? What year? What time of the year?
Oh God, let me see. Check that. I hope
I'm
it's-
just
Oh, yeah,
wondering
that
if
might
it
have
was
something
just
to
a
do with it.
weird sort of summer, sort of
let me see.
really summer
Maybe a
season,
storm, a bad
like 6 or
storm,
something.
or
The
Yeah,
article
no,
was written in December. It was on December the 5th that it was written, and
the winter time.
yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
That's a time of storms, right? Maybe
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be affected it by the weather. I mean, the cold of the water, because the temperature would be matching with the bottom.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be that many animals would be messing with it. It would have to be a big animal too to rip it off, to rip it hand off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what it comes down to is it's not like an octopus couldn't go there. I mean, obviously it did, but it's the behavior. They don't do that usually. They could do it. I mean, there's nothing to stop an octopus from going where, but they usually stay in their environment where they're comfortable, where they can find food, where their bodies feel right. So this one just decided for whatever reason.
Or
I mean, unless we find some other.
or it could be chased up.
Yeah. Well, that was a thought too. Yeah, and maybe it got chased, got lost, just kept going. You get chased long enough. So yeah, something made it decide to behave differently, and survival is usually a good reason to behave differently. You could argue a lot of innovation comes from just trying to survive.
I was surprised. I was surprised about it. They said that they eat each other too.
It's an octopus eat octopus world.
Yeah.
well, the weird part about it is the North Sea, because that's creepy all by itself. When you hear about the North Sea, you think cold, dead, and desolate. You know what I mean? Like icebergs and
I think those
Could have been a trawler or some ship, cruise ship or something, and got stuck somehow and got dragged, potentially.
Well, they said that was one cause for a lot of shark attacks. When Robert was talking about that, I didn't want to bring it up, but they said there was no actual attacks on oil rigs, but there's been incidences like in war, especially there was ships that were damaged and sank.
No, I was talking about they were talking about prehistoric time. That they were saying that these sharks, as big as blue whales, that's what during that time, not in our time.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't have been attacking human ships, though.
No. They were saying they were using it for the size of the shark. When he opened up its mouth, it could take a full-size oil truck.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay. See, you sent me off in the wrong direction. You're talking about that prehistoric shark that they...
Yeah, the blue one.
No, it was supposed to be bigger than the blue whale, I believe. Yeah.
And it's bigger than an oil tanker or even a transport. That's the size of a shark.
Now the megalodon.
Yeah, megalodon. With a megalodon shark, blue shark. Because it was blue, megalodon, top of the line in the ocean.
Yeah, the megalodon is actually Octodus. No prehistorical shark was consistently bigger than a blue whale. The megalodon, Octodus megalodon, which lived 23 to 3.6 million years ago, is the largest known shark, reaching maximum lengths of roughly 50 to 65 feet, which is 15 to 20 meters. However, the blue whale is larger, with adults often reaching 80 to 90 feet. That's 24 to 27 meters. Now, blue shark, they're still alive, aren't they?
No.
They're extinct, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they extinct? I don't know.
Well, the sharks that are showing on there with blue and large.
The blue whale, actually, is what it is.
The blue whale, yeah.
The blue whale.
Yeah, they're still alive.
So, now the comparison to blue whales, a 100-ton blue whale is significantly heavier than a 50 to 60-ton megalodon. Now, compared to a modern animals, megalodons was 3 times larger than the largest recorded great white shark. In its diet, megalodons were top predators that hunted whales, but they were generally not larger than the largest modern blue whale.
Oh, okay.
So they were right around the same size, except for the blue whale was bigger because of its
more teeth.
So, yeah, I thought you were talking about a shark that took down an oil well. Right?
No, I was saying about the size of their mouth. They're saying they made it out like it could swallow it.
Well, you need to stop listening to documentaries, man, because that's like you understand. Like they talk like at the beginning, like it's such a big mystery, and then all of a sudden, as you go through the documentary, all of a sudden they're answering all the questions.
Yeah,
it's
called I try to be more like you guys have told me. Get all I can get of information. I can bring it to you, and you guys can tell me if I'm right or wrong on that.
I really find those sort of American sort of American documentary sort of formats irritating, annoying, really annoying. Yeah.
I wouldn't talk, buddy. I mean, it's like freaking. What was it? Your dad was in the documentary that did that quite a bit with the archaeology stuff. Like they were really, really big at freaking. Oh, we found this.
My dad's family friend.
Yeah, that stuff. I used to watch it and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, man, but like they were notorious for that shit. And then
you're talking about Tony Robinson, Time 10.
Yeah. Now he did another one where he was going around and he was doing research on not the Gnostics, but the ones that ended up getting burned at the stake.
The Cathars?
Yeah, the Cathars.
My next guess is going to be Puritans under the Catholics or Catholics under the Protestants. No, I think Elizabeth hung Catholics. I think that it was but Mary burnt Protestants.
He was notorious for that shit, dude. He was like the king of it over in England, man. Like he would make everything out to be such a huge mystery and shit. And then by the time the end of the freaking documentary was done, all the questions were answered. It was just sewn up and everything. Well,
actually, one of the best British documentaries I saw. If you'd like, was a presentation done by Rowan Atkinson on the nature of comedy.
Oh God, I love that.
It was actually really well put together, and it was funny, of course, but he really explained very clearly all the elements of comedy and pointed out some very interesting things. Like one of the things he pointed out, like he was in his discussion of physical comedy, he points out that the physical comedian is basically invulnerable and immortal. The physical comedian can be hit in the head with a ladder, he can fall down a flight of stairs, he can be run over by a car, he can hold a bomb that goes off, and he's fine out. Nothing bad ever happens to the physical comedian on that level. And it's just that sort of thing. He shows all the different aspects of this kind of comedy and how they work together. Because a physical comedian would not be funny if you hit him in the head and instead he just lies there with blood coming out of his ear. It's like that's not nearly. It's funny for us now, but it would not be physical comedy anymore. It would be pathos and satire, which I've seen used, but it's all on this basis. But anyway, that was a British documentary that I really enjoyed. I think it's on YouTube somewhere if you search for it. Probably.
Not an overly big fan of the slapstick sort of routines. Also,
Oh, he covered a lot of different things besides physical comedy. Just the different situations, and then you've got like Ricky Gervais, who is the master of the Schadenfreude. I guess you'd call it you watch the guy and you're just cringing the whole time. I watched The Office, and it's like the David Brent character. And I mean, that was some of the most hilarious stuff, but it was all just because you were cringing inside about it. How much more awful could how much more insensitive, how much more could he like open mouth and insert foot, as we say.
Remember that one, the family in housing in the UK, right? That one we were watching.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, they got the U.S. shows here.
Three's Company?
No, the other one. It's where the guy, the woman, and he marries her and taking care of her kids, and he's a drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about that's okay, what was that called? I forgot the damn movie. I was talking to you about it, Mark. I forgot the name of it.
That's a funny one too.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it.
It fits a lot of lives in real life.
Yeah. Now the Hafgotha is something that really stuck out to me because I was going through some of this stuff, and it's supposed to be a sea creature that purported to inhabit Iceland's waters and southwest and southward towards Helluland. Although it was thought to be a sea monster, research suggests that the stories originated from a specialized feeding technique among whales known as trap feeding. So that could be what that was. It could be the result of trap feeding, like you said with the whales. Trap feeding is where they puke up their food, right?
I know they puke up their food sometimes. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
But I do know that I've heard of whales regurgitating. But I figured anything a whale ate would probably be pretty clearly marked as having been eaten by a whale. I mean, they do chew.
Yeah. So original
species as well, subspecies. But yeah.
So the original story comes from this Hafgupa. It's an Old Norse sea creature. It was supposed to inhabit Iceland's waters around the Greenland Sea.
Nice.
So that's probably what happened. If that's where that tentacle came from, it's probably like a whale who maybe regurgitated it.
Yeah.
Because they travel around too. That's quite a bit, and it's like we were saying, or like I was saying, these octopuses actually occupy all the way around the west coast of the United States and up around into Japan and stuff. So they get around.
Nice. Well traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just reading, and I think Wikipedia then on cuttlefish, not too far away from octopus, and there's they are all over Western Europe, and all the way to Asia.
Yeah. I just never pictured them being up in the northern areas, but I guess it's like right here too. They're talking about up near Iceland and Greenland and stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, again, we're talking about what 5, according to the Wikipedia article for octopus, 300 different species or subspecies.
When they hide in an iceberg, the one with like little holes, keep from getting nibbled on by the other fish.
Well, this is after they get eaten. It's called trap feeding. So.
Well, I mean, they would hide for places where they can hide.
Now, trap feeding is an innovative, culturally learned feeding strategy observed by primarily by humpback whales and some bride whales, where they remain nearly motionless at the surface with mouths open, creating a trap for small fish like herring. Developed in response to sparse prey, it is more energetically efficient than lung feeding, with whales using their pectoral fins to guide fish into their mouths. See, I can see that. The tentacles or something would come out of maybe the fins or even the throat while their mouth was open. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So,
Considering the age of it.
Well, they never mentioned that in the article either, how old the actual tentacles were.
Yeah, because you look at the size of that. To reach out like you're saying, it would be a good size long.
With this one example, was there not autopsy on it afterwards?
When they said that the tides actually caused problems for them because by the time they got there, what was left of it was all they had. So apparently there may have been more that was on the beach, but the tides were up. It was high tide, and they had to wait before freaking they could go out there to get the remains. So I would say that maybe that's what it is. It was the result of trap feeding how it got there. Some whale ate an octopus and decided that they were going to take a vacation to shallow waters, and they decided to go eating and left their mouth open, and what was left of the octopus's tentacles just came out.
It could have been one fish eating another fish, and it's just the remaining of one of the previous fish.
I was surprised. They showed that picture of the volcano coming out of the ocean. Well, when a killer whale dies, or any whales die, and they float down to the bottom, they show the wildlife. They show the different types of wildlife that feeds on the dead body of the animal. Plus, they stay right there next to the funnel of the volcano. And all of the sea life stays right around there. And they multiply. By the time they get done cleaning the bones off, is a month. And have you ever seen it? Oh, clam. It's a special clam. It can go all the way from the bottom, back all the way straight up. They have a way of pressurizing their soul. They do. They were showing that on wildlife.
So with the Kraken, I don't know if maybe they actually did see that. They may have seen like one of these big octopuses and kind of over exaggerated on it, because like if you remember too, they used to think that what were those? I just mentioned them. They were
mermaids.
They mistaken these sea. What were they called? The sea otters or some shit like that.
Oh,
manatees.
Yeah.
Manatees.
Manatees.
Supposedly, yeah, they thought they were mer people.
Yeah, they were confusing them for mer people and stuff, and like So that could be a big thing right there. I don't understand how they would think that like a manatees was a beautiful freaking mermaid woman and shit.
Well,
you know,
if you're a
if you've been at
sailor that's been at sea for 5
yeah,
months,
for a
I'm
year,
pretty sure. I'm
year
pretty
and a
sure
half.
that.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that the dog don't think that.
Well, you know, if it's late at night, you're on watch. You might have a touch of the scurvy. They don't have ophthalmologists or optometrists, so you might need glasses, but you know you see well enough. Moonlit night, and then this manatee swims a few feet under the water next to the ship. You're looking over and you see this thing. I saw a mermaid. You should have seen her.
yeah,
You
and you
know.
may have had some grog, you or
Oh,
something
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
right.
That's what
You
you
know,
have proof.
the Royal Navy, yeah, rum whips and sodomy. So it was like,
You
who
have
knows
her
what?
talking about face with her tail.
I'm talking 18th century Royal Navy. No, I'm not saying anything about today. And most navies are run that way, to be fair. Herman Melville wrote about that. That's very interesting thing. I did find something about that sea serpent sighting. My mistake. I for some reason had in it was a Royal Navy training ship, and I thought some Prince of the Blood. I know you don't use that particular, but I thought there was some kind of a prince on it at the time, but there wasn't. But it was HMS Daedalus reported a sea serpent sighting, which is alliterative too, and yeah, it says here 1850. No, excuse me, 1848. It happened.
Yeah.
Sighted it en route to St. Helena, and yeah, they drew pictures of it. They had a lot of witnesses. So close under our lee quarter that had it been a man of my acquaintance, I could have easily have recognized his features with the naked eye. It had no fins, but something like the mane of a horse, or rather a bunch of seaweed washed about its back. The head of the creature was, without any doubt, that of a snake. So
It's amazing.
good enough for me.
They have one that's on the Wikipedia pages, the Colossus octopus, which is attacking ships, and it was Pen and Wash by Pierre Denis Montfort. It was engraved by Alain Claudia Borsard in 1801, and it was a picture that depicts a huge octopus coming up and just grabbing an entire ship by the freaking sails and everything and bringing it under the water. And they have a couple of them on here that are actually pretty cool. So if you guys get a chance to check out the Wikipedia, it's actually pretty cool.
Actually, I'm looking at it now.
Well, that's what I was wondering about England during, because I heard about stories.
Well,
English coming up missing.
English sailors would have never believed in such nonsense, Robert.
No, I'm talking about the ships came up missing.
Just trust me, you would never hear an English sailor say, "Oh, Crockett done stole my ship."
Again, if you are a Cornish farmer being pushed into the Navy,
yeah. And I did find out, you guys are right, it was before him, Christian Jensen in 1646. The superstition or the mythos was first described in Norwegian glossary by Christian Jensen in 1646. So that would be the Norwegian glossary. In a Norwegian glossary by Christian Jensen. And then later, the creature appears in a travelogue by Francesco Negri in 1700, followed in 1734 by an account from Dano-Norwegian missionary and explorer Hans Agidi.
Okay, I was thinking more early. I was thinking sort of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of all those 1970s sort of films, Sinbad and that one.
Yeah. Well, the Iliads probably does have it in there. It's just they people don't read that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's actually the Iliads, which is like Ben Hur to people our age. So you know that younger people aren't really gonna get into freaking reading the Iliads.
These kids today.
Oh yeah, I was thinking more on like Jason and Argonauts and that sort
Right.
of essentially
Exactly.
sort of stop motion stuff.
Oh yeah, George Powell. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ray Harryhausen did some great stuff. Great.
It would be something I would do.
Was it the Golden Voyage of Sinbad? Had Tom Baker as the villain? Or was it the Golden Voyage or the Seventh Voyage? But Tom Baker played the heavy, the bad guy. And that's an interesting film because if you watch it, I remember watching that and I'm like, okay, this is Tom Baker. This is what the Doctor does on his vacations, you know. He was in that movie about the Russian Revolution. He played Rasputin. I think that's got him the job as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Did you see Tom Baker? What was it? Nicholas and Alexandra. That was the name of the movie. And Tom Baker played Rasputin, and he was. I remember seeing the film, and I'm like, wow, because he's like drinking and whoring all through the film, and like having this amazingly, and like this is what the Doctor does when he goes back in time for a holiday, a bottle of vodka in one hand and a village maid in the other, and then this is sitting in a haystack. But I was watching the Sinbad movie, and it's like, Tom Baker's really the good guy in this. Sinbad's really the bad guy. He steals the guy's magic amulet, whatever it is. He asks for it back very nicely, and Sinbad says no and attacks him. He's constantly trying to steal what this guy belonged to him, right? And I noticed that like Tom Baker's like his the people that work for him liked him. Like he had an assistant. Are you all right, Lord? It's like really worries. Like, no, you're pushing yourself too hard. It's not worth it. They're actually genuinely like him. Not the other guy. They're led by this guy who wears like a mask all the time. Very mysterious, strange people. But I like looking at movies that way and just giving it another take. Because I'm watching, it's like Tom Baker actually doesn't do anything unprovoked throughout the film. What happens is his servant was delivering something, and one of Sinbad's sailors killed it and stole it. And then it went on from there. So really, it was a story about the magician trying to get his bauble back from the thieves.
Well, when it comes to Sinbad, though, I misunderstood that whole storyline with Sinbad until I finally actually sat down and read it. Like, I think a lot of people don't really truly understand Sinbad. You know what I mean? Because it's like his life was more than just freaking going and getting a freaking genie and all that shit. He actually had adventures where he was on the sea. He was involved.
Oh yeah, the original stories. Yeah, I read the original Arabian Night stories.
Yeah,
and not at all like the movie Sinbad, but.
But it's really strange when it comes to Sinbad though. Like he actually had like an entire series of adventures that took place. Wasn't he involved with like pirates on the sea too?
Oh, he was involved with all kinds of stuff. He it started off. The story I read was there were two Sinbads, and there was this poor Sinbad who was like a porter, Sinbad the porter, and he just would carry bales for hire. And one day he was outside the gate of Sinbad the sailor, and he was called Sinbad because he was this wealthy, really wealthy, happy guy. And long story short, he's invited in, and Sinbad, the poor guy, says, "Oh, you're so rich." It's like, and Sinbad, the rich guy, says, "Oh, it was luck. But sit down and listen to my stories." And they told him the stories of all his voyages and stuff. And I think at the end of the time, he moves in with them, and they live happily ever after. Yeah, it's Arab culture, so that's okay, I guess. But But yeah, I don't remember all of the stories, but there were pirates and monsters, and then of course they would have stories within the story, which was the whole fun thing about those. Mm-hmm. Someone would tell a story, and they say, "Well, let me tell you this story." One day, the story guy told me this story, and the next thing you're 3 stories in, and bam,
you're hooked. Gotta love it. It's amazing when you, because like that right there has a lot of Persian influence involved in it. Like when you listen to like old Persian lore and the stories that go with it, they are pretty interesting. Like the Blind Owl. Have you read that?
No.
The Blind Owl is weird. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
So many books to read. I got a huge list. I got books here I'm rereading actually, because you go back to them too. And I just found a copy of when a little used book bin they have at the grocery store I go to. You give them $1, you take like a book that is used books, and it's like it's a copy of Herman Hesse's book Demian, which I haven't read since probably 40 years or 50 years. I hate to say it, 40 years.
Back when reading was
40,
cool.
45. Yeah. I still do it even if it's not cool. But
back when you read actually out of a book.
Oh yeah.
No, when you didn't have computers back then.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So
we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes, man. Let's cut it right here.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep, man. I got to get some rest. We all need to get some rest. All except Mark Edworthy, who is like the caffeine god. Grinds it up.
He just grinded like a pot. He's like, "Oh, how dare you go to bed and leave me alone?"
Be bouncing one for the next 3-4 hours. Actually, it won't be.
No, he'd be playing Tarzan, swinging from limb to limb.
He does that without coffee. He doesn't need coffee to do that shit. Like he's the Fabio Flip guy.
Well, hey, are you married?
Nope. No, single.
He's the most eligible man in Devon.
So women out there?
So in other words, when the women sees you and a cup in your hand, they're thinking, time to run for it, because Tarzan's coming.
No, they don't run. He's like the Fabio of Devonshire, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna know that he's riled up and he's gonna play
the women. No, the women faint at the sight of Mark Edworthy, Lord Edworthy, and the men are jealous of him and say horrible words as he walks by the pub.
Oh, he don't walk. He swings. He say, "Look at me, I'm a big man." Big man with a big.
The primal primate kind of, bodily communication. Yeah.
He says, "Look at me."
So hold on.
I'm twice the man.
Let's put an end to this. It's
yes, please.
Getting too late.
Poor Mark.
Yeah.
Mark,
hey, seriously, that's it. That's it.
You say,
okay, no, Robert,
I got football.
We're leaving. No more of that.
All right.
Okay, so before we leave, man, you want to give your socials, Mark?
Okay. Once I've gathered myself.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to hear something.
Okay, Robert.
Yeah, well, minds.com, Midworthy.
All right, thank you. How about you, Otto? You wanna give yours after that little interesting ending there?
My name is John Smith. I am at anything.com. I don't know any of these people. I was just a hitchhiking officer. I was hitchhiking and they let me in the car and it was like, no, you could check me out at navakavada.org. That's NAVAKAVADA. It's spelled just like it sounds. We're hoping soon to introduce the Mark Edworthy Fan Club t-shirts, membership cards, and comic books that will be available through Roger Hanson's site. Yes, of course. This is all licensed products.
Yeah. Through Fairy Tale Daycare, of course.
Yes, all the kids have them.
The next question, where are they made from?
Okay, we're ending the show, dude. You don't get to talk no more. You just sit back, shut your mouth.
They're manufactured in a Commonwealth country.
God.
All right, gentlemen. It's been wonderful working with everyone. I got to go get some sleep.
Okay.
We will talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, make comments. We appreciate you. If you want to get in touch with me and Robert, you can get in touch with me and Robert at minds.com at Roger_Hanson. And Strange Stories, you can also find us at The Wonderful World of Weirdness on Discord. And we'll talk to you later. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.